Hi again, and welcome once again to Storytime with Angel. Today I'm going to be reading from a recent release of my own. On Sunday, March 15th, we had the release of Dragons, Diamonds, and Discord. This is actually the third story in the Brandywine Investigations series. The premise of this series is that the gods no longer have enough worshippers to keep them busy, so they end up living with us in the modern world, and they have to take jobs and own companies and things. The first book in that series, Canines, Crosshairs, and Corpses, was about Hades and how he has to adjust to living in the mortal world after Persephone serves him with divorce papers and kicks him out. That's a fun one. The second story in the series was actually written for Love's Landscapes event on Goodreads, for the Male Romance group on Goodreads. And that was No Enemy But Time. This is the story of Zagreus, who is Hades' son, and his fallen angel lover, Michael. This is a much darker story. Some people were a little upset with me for it, but it ends on a hopeful note. And a lot of people were asking, when can we see Zach and Michael again? Are we going to see that they're going to be okay? And we also had a lot of requests for Hermes' story. Hermes, of course, is one of Hades' nephews, and he's very instrumental in both of the first two stories. So in this third one, the one that just released on Sunday, we get Hermes and his story, and we kind of give him a run for his money. So a little winged-footed god thinks he can get away with anything he likes. It just doesn't work that way. So this is from Dragons, Diamonds, and Discord. Let me just read you a little blurb here. The most valuable pieces of jewelry are vanishing from the god Hermes Manhattan stores, and the security security feeds only pick up clouds of smoke. While the god of thieves, messengers, and commerce doesn't appreciate someone stealing from him, he's intrigued by this thief's ingenuity and skill. When he enlists his family to trap his burglar, he gets the surprise of his immortal life. Fafnir just wants to be left alone. Doomed over the centuries to a never-ending cycle of violent death and painful rebirth, he had hoped to find an escape in the quiet life of an author and illustrator. But there are forces at work he doesn't understand, and his peace is shattered by the return to old cycles and the sudden interference of a beautiful and incredibly irritating Greek god. So that kind of sets you up for the players in the story. And I just have a little excerpt to read. From near the beginning of the story, Hermes has discovered that some really high-end items are disappearing out of his jewelry stores in Manhattan. And he has asked Hades and his cousin Zach and Hephaestus to come and try and help him. And Dionysus has come along as well. He really wasn't asked to help, but he comes along as well. This story, it was written for a dragon prompt, and it's something that I've always wanted to do, to kind of have a dragon that I could save. I think from a very early age, I really, really resented the fact that in all of those stories you read when you're little, you watch the movie with Sleeping Beauty in it, you read the old dragon legends, the dragon has to die, and that really bothered me as a child. So it was kind of, living out my childhood wishes and being able to save a dragon. So here's our excerpt from Dragons, Diamonds, and Discord. The last of the daytime lights shut down in succession, signaling the departure of the last employee. Velvet dark descended, with only the security lights illuminating the empty cases and the exits. The presumed target, locked away in the safe behind the case, was a marquee-cut pink diamond of incredible clarity, set in a choker of white diamonds and pearls. According to Hermes' calculations, this was indeed the third most expensive piece for sale in the city. Well, the most expensive one now, actually. "I hate waiting," Dio whispered as he hunkered down behind the screen. Hermes shot him an irritated look. "Yeah, big shock. Why are you here again?" "I think they stole your sense of humor, too," Dio grumbled. That hit too close to home. Hermes ran a hand over the back of his neck as he tried his best to unclench every tightened muscle. "Sorry, you came to help. That was uncalled for. There's just something wrong about this whole thing. Has me in knots." "It's okay. After we catch the creep, why don't you bring your guitar? Come jam for a few hours. I've got some good red stocked. We could see if Orpheus is up for it, too." Hermes bumped shoulders with his favorite brother. "Thanks. That might just be the thing. Let's see what happens here first, right?" Dark eyes huge in the dim light, Dio nodded and quieted. Yes, he was the family party boy, but he was also still half wild. His nerves would be humming with the thrill of the hunt. There was the difference, Hermes realized. Zack, Dio, Uncle Hades, even Charon. They were all hunters and warriors. This sort of setup excited them, invigorated them. Hermes, jittery and slightly nauseous, was starting to think he should have waited in the van with Hephaestus. An hour passed, then half an hour more. Just as he was convincing himself his thief had taken the night off, the door to the employee entrance clicked. Alarms should have sounded. Either the person had a key and the alarm codes, or the thief had disabled the system. Or they were already in place before my staff left. But he'd still have to disable the alarm. Maybe I have to start designing magic-proof security systems. Wonder how much of a market there would be. Dio gripped his arm and pointed. A shadow slid along the far wall, possibly a large man, but the strange lighting could have added the perception of mass to a small one. The shadow stopped. Soft hissing drifted across the room, the same as they had heard on the sound reconstruction the previous evening. And cue the smoke. Creepers of gray slid along the floor toward the safe. They climbed over the cases, moving ethereal vines obscuring the glass, and edged up the walls to block the security cameras. The soft rhythmic hissing slowly evolved into whistling, Peer Gynt again, but the more haunting melancholy of Solveig's song instead of the Mountain King's menace. A strange choice. The whistling became humming, the thief making no effort to hide his heavy footfalls. Hermes caught a glimpse of Doc Martens, size 13 at least, before the boots vanished into the smoke surrounding the little room with the safe. Tumblers clicked. The clank of a safe handle echoed through the smoke-shrouded quiet. That strange, hollow laugh, bone-deep and mirthless, emanated from the vicinity of the presumably open safe. "Now, Zagreus!" Uncle Hades bellowed. A sharp snap followed, then the susurration of thousands of metallic links swiftly dragged upward. The thief's roar rattled cases, an impotent storm of fury as Hef's magical golden net snared him and hoisted him, struggling and snarling toward the ceiling. Hermes uncoiled from behind his screen, prepared to confront this being who dared to steal from a god. He strode toward the center of the showroom where Dio called a breeze to clear the smoke. Flashes of black clothing and dark red hair flickered through the gold mesh as the captive thrashed, his large frame only hampering his struggles. Hands on his hips, Hermes shouted up to the net, "Give me one good reason I shouldn't call the—" Another roar deafened him, vibrating through the floor tiles. The body in the net began to expand. Instead of glimpses of black cloth and red hair, now gleaming red-gold hide sparked in the mesh. A huge claw poked through the side of the net and sliced the links open, as if the magically forged gold were nothing more than pudding. Hermes could only watch in horror as a sinuous head emerged from the opening, followed by yard-wide scaled shoulders and wings. The thief leapt free, plunging, then rising in the air as his wings unfurled. With one final roar, he arrowed toward the windows at the front of the shop and crashed through, leaving a dragon-sized hole in his wake. Alrighty. So that's Dragons, Diamonds, and Discord. That's available from Amber Allure. It should be on Amazon shortly if it isn't already. And that is the third in our Brandywine Investigations series. Hope you can get a chance to take a look at it. And I will be writing the fourth in that series very shortly, and that will be for Dionysus. That should be a lot of fun too. Thanks for coming. Thanks for listening.